Hi, I'm Ahsan from Ed. Today we delve into a fascinating yet unsettling concept that has intrigued humanity for centuries, the idea of complete transparency, where our innermost thoughts are no longer private. Imagine a world where your innermost thoughts were no longer your own. Every fleeting fancy, every hidden desire, every secret judgment was laid bare to those around you. This is the tantalizing and terrifying prospect of a world where everyone can read minds. The idea of mind reading has been a staple of science fiction and fantasy for decades, capturing our imagination and sparking countless debates. On the surface, the ability to read minds seems like a superpower ripped straight from the pages of a comic book. It promises the ultimate tool for understanding, for empathy, for connecting with our fellow human beings on a deeper level. Imagine never having to guess what someone else is thinking. No more misunderstandings, no more miscommunications, no more secrets to hide. It sounds like a utopia of perfect clarity and honesty. But scratch beneath the surface and a darker, more unsettling reality emerges. A world stripped of privacy, of individuality, of the freedom to think our own thoughts without fear of judgment or reprisal. In such a world, could we ever truly be ourselves? Or would we become prisoners of our own minds, forever trapped in a panopticon of our own making? The allure of mind reading is undeniable. The potential to understand others completely, to eliminate deceit and foster genuine connections, is a powerful draw. But the potential consequences are equally profound. A world where transparency reigns supreme could lead to a society where people are constantly monitored, judged, and controlled by the thoughts they cannot hide. To truly understand the implications of such a power, we must delve deeper into the societal, personal, and ethical ramifications. How would relationships change if there were no secrets? How would our sense of self evolve if our private thoughts were always on display? Would we become more honest, more empathetic, or would we become more guarded, more fearful of our own minds? The questions are endless and the answers are far from clear. The allure of mind reading is undeniable, but the potential consequences are equally profound. To truly understand the implications of such a power, we must delve deeper into the societal, personal, and ethical ramifications of a world where transparency reigns supreme. As we ponder this fascinating concept, we must ask ourselves, are we ready for a world without secrets? Or is the mystery of the human mind something worth preserving? Join us as we explore the allure and terror of transparency, and what it truly means for the future of humanity. In a world where minds are an open book, deception would become a relic of the past. Lies would be impossible to tell, secrets impossible to keep. Criminals would be apprehended before they could even act on their nefarious thoughts, and politicians would be held accountable for every broken promise, every self-serving agenda. The legal system would undergo a radical transformation, with trials decided not on circumstantial evidence or witness testimony, but on the irrefutable evidence of the accused's own mind. The very notion of privacy as we know it would cease to exist. But would this absence of deception truly usher in a new era of honesty and transparency? Or would it create a society ruled by fear and suspicion, where even the slightest negative thought could have dire consequences? The elimination of deception might seem, at first glance, like an unmitigated good, but the potential for abuse and the erosion of fundamental freedoms cannot be ignored. In our quest for a more transparent world, we must be careful not to sacrifice the very values that make us human. In a world where thoughts are no longer hidden, the very nature of communication would be irrevocably altered. Words, once our primary means of expressing ourselves, would become almost obsolete. A simple glance, a fleeting thought would convey more meaning than 1,000 carefully chosen words. The art of conversation would take on a whole new dimension, as we navigate the complexities of unspoken thoughts and emotions. Empathy would reach new heights, as we gain an unprecedented understanding of the hopes, dreams, and fears of those around us. But this newfound transparency could also lead to a decline in genuine human connection. After all, part of the beauty of relationships lies in the gradual process of getting to know someone, of peeling back the layers of their personality over time. In a world where everyone can read minds, would we still cherish the intimacy of a whispered secret, the joy of a shared joke, the comfort of a heartfelt confession? Or would our relationships become superficial and transactional, devoid of the mystery and intrigue that make them so compelling? The death of privacy, living in a glass house. Privacy, once considered a fundamental human right, would become a distant memory in a world of open minds. The sanctity of our personal space, the ability to retreat into our own thoughts without fear of intrusion, has always been a cornerstone of human dignity. But imagine a world where this sacred boundary is obliterated. Every fleeting thought, every embarrassing memory, every secret desire would be laid bare for all to see. The intimate details of our lives, once locked away in the privacy of our minds, would be exposed to the scrutiny of others. This exposure would not only be uncomfortable, but could also lead to a profound sense of vulnerability and anxiety. The very notion of a private self, a sanctuary where we can be truly alone with our thoughts, would cease to exist. Our inner worlds, the places where we reflect, dream and plan, would be invaded. The loss of this private space would fundamentally alter our sense of identity and self-worth. The consequences of this loss of privacy would be far-reaching. It would affect not just individuals, but the very fabric of society. Relationships would be strained as trust becomes a rare commodity. The ripple effects would touch every aspect of our lives, from our personal interactions to our professional engagements. Imagine a world where your employer could screen your thoughts for signs of disloyalty, where every moment of doubt or frustration could be used against you. The workplace would become a minefield, with employees constantly on edge, fearing that their innermost thoughts could jeopardize their careers, where your government could monitor your every move for even the slightest hint of dissent. The state would have unprecedented power to control and manipulate its citizens, stifling any form of opposition or free thought. The chilling effect on freedom of expression would be profound. In such a world, conformity would become the norm, as individuals self-censor their thoughts and actions for fear of judgment or persecution. The rich diversity of human experience and opinion would be suppressed, leading to a homogenized society where creativity and innovation are stifled. The very foundations of a free and open society would crumble under the weight of constant surveillance. The ability to think and act freely is essential for progress and democracy. Without it, we risk descending into a dystopian reality where control and fear dominate. The death of privacy would have a profound impact on our sense of self, our relationships, and our ability to function as a society. The erosion of this fundamental right would lead to a world where genuine human connection is rare and mistrust is rampant. It is a price we should be extremely hesitant to pay, even in the pursuit of greater understanding and transparency. The balance between security and privacy is delicate, and tipping the scales too far in one direction could have irreversible consequences. We must strive to protect our privacy, not just for ourselves, but for the future of humanity. The rise of new conflicts. When thoughts become weapons. In a world where thoughts are no longer confined to the privacy of our own minds, the potential for conflict would increase exponentially. A careless thought, a moment of anger, or a fleeting feeling of jealousy could escalate into a full-blown confrontation with lightning speed. Imagine walking down a crowded street, and suddenly, everyone's inner thoughts are laid bare. The stress and anxiety would be palpable, as people struggle to control not just their words, but their very thoughts. A fleeting feeling of jealousy could escalate into a full-blown confrontation with lightning speed. The smallest slight, the tiniest misunderstanding, could ignite a firestorm of emotions. Arguments that once took hours or days to develop could now explode in an instant, fueled by the raw, unfiltered thoughts of those involved. Bullying would take on a sinister new form, as tormentors weaponize their thoughts to inflict emotional pain on their victims. The schoolyard, once a place of learning and growth, could become a battlefield where the mind is the primary weapon. Imagine the psychological toll on young minds constantly bombarded by the negative thoughts of their peers. As tormentors weaponize their thoughts to inflict emotional pain on their victims, the impact would be devastating. The scars left by such mental assaults could be deeper and more lasting than any physical wound. The very essence of personal space and mental privacy would be shattered. Hate speech would no longer require words, as prejudiced thoughts would be broadcast loud and clear for all to hear. The silent judgments and biases that people harbor would be exposed, leading to an environment of heightened tension and mistrust. As prejudiced thoughts would be broadcast loud and clear for all to hear, the social fabric could unravel. Communities that once thrived on mutual respect and understanding could find themselves torn apart by the raw, unfiltered thoughts of their members. The battle for hearts and minds would be fought not with words or weapons, but with the sheer power of thought. In this new reality, the ability to control one's thoughts would become a crucial skill. Those who can maintain calm and focus would have a significant advantage. Meditation and mindfulness practices would become essential tools for survival, helping individuals to navigate the turbulent seas of collective consciousness. And in this new battleground, there would be no safe spaces. The constant barrage of thoughts would make it difficult to find peace. Public spaces could become arenas of mental conflict where the strongest minds dominate. There would be no safe spaces, no escape from the constant barrage of opinions, judgments, and prejudices. The mental noise would be overwhelming, making it hard to find a moment of solitude or clarity. The ability to shield one's mind from the thoughts of others would become a valuable skill, perhaps even a necessity for mental well-being. The ability to read minds while potentially fostering empathy and understanding could also unleash a torrent of negativity and conflict. The dual-edged nature of this power would require careful management and regulation. While potentially fostering empathy and understanding, it could also unleash a torrent of negativity and conflict. The potential for both harm and healing would be immense, and society would need to adapt quickly to these new dynamics. In a world where our thoughts have the power to wound as deeply as any physical weapon, the stakes would be incredibly high. The need for emotional intelligence and resilience would be greater than ever. We would need to develop new mechanisms for conflict resolution and emotional regulation. Traditional methods of mediation and therapy would need to evolve to address the complexities of this new reality. The future would demand innovative approaches to mental health, emphasizing the importance of inner peace and mental fortitude. Only by mastering our own minds could we hope to navigate the challenges of this brave new world. Subscribe to Ace Ed for more interesting what-if scenarios.